Good morning all, I hope you're well. A special welcome to anyone who's joining us for the first time today. In a minute, you'll be joined by Danny, Caris and the worship team, who will be bringing a close to our series about wide and narrow gates. You had a great week, and you can sit back and relax and enjoy the service now.
On this Sunday in Advent, God, we light this candle as a sign of your promise to bring light into our darkness. And we wait and long for your coming. Come, Lord Jesus, come.
You're my God, you're altogether lovely. Today's reading is taken from Matthew 7, verses 13 and 14.
Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it.
Hello everyone, hope you've had a lovely week. This week we're finishing our series, yes, on For an Audience of One, but also we've actually been looking at Jesus' Sermon on the Mount for the last 5 months. Can you believe it? Well, today we're finishing off that series and we're going to start off with a little game. Now, can you show me a thumbs up? Yeah! And can you show me a thumbs down? Oh no. So, I'm going to read out some different scenarios or different things that might happen, and I want you to tell me if they are a good thing, if I made a good choice in them, or if I made a bad choice in them. Okay, are you ready for the first one? Someone in my house has just made a cake and it smells so good, and they put the icing on and I decided that I was going to go and dip my finger in the icing and eat it. Do you think that was a good decision or a bad decision? It was a bad decision. Okay, the second one. One of my friends is building a big tower with lots of tower blocks, and I've decided that I want to ruin their fun and I'm going to run over and kick the tower blocks down. Do you think that was a good decision or a bad decision? It was a bad decision. And now this time my friends built the tower blocks and I've decided that I would like to go and knock them down. But this time I've said sorry and I've gone and helped them to build the tower back up. Do you think that was a good choice or a bad choice? It was a good choice in the end, wasn't it? Now, I really want to go and play some video games, but one of my grown-ups has said that they need some help doing some jobs around the house. So I've decided I'm going to help them and then I can play my video games later. Do you think that was a good decision or a bad decision? It was a good decision. Now I'm having lots of fun playing with some of my friends, and I saw somebody that was sat on their own. But I was having so much fun, I just wanted to pretend that I didn't even see them. Do you think that was a good choice or a bad choice? It was a bad choice. I've just seen somebody getting picked on by a group of people as well. Now, I didn't think this was right or very fair, so I've decided to go over and to tell them to leave this person alone, and I asked the person if they're feeling okay. Do you think that was a good choice or a bad choice? It was a good choice. I'm going to spend lots of time praying and reading my Bible. Do you think that's a good choice or a bad choice? A good choice. I'm playing a game with my family now and I really want to win because winning's my favourite thing. So I've decided that I'm not going to listen to the rules and I'm actually going to cheat so I can win. Do you think that was a good choice or a bad choice? A bad choice, of course. Now, my friend sometimes makes me really, really, really angry. But I've decided that instead of calling them a mean name, I'm going to walk away, take a few minutes out, go back and tell them how they make me feel. Do you think that's a good choice or a bad choice? A good choice. Now, I've seen that somebody I love is really upset. So I'm going to make them something. I might even make them a cake. Do you think that's a good choice or a bad choice? A good choice. See, we know what is right and wrong, don't we? Now, in our reading today, Jesus talks about two gates. He talks about the wide gate. Can you see how wide you can stretch your arms? The wide gate and the narrow gate, the really small one. The very big one is really easy to walk through, but the smaller one is hard to find. Maybe it has lots of twists and turns on the path up to it. Maybe the pavement is even really uneven. But the big broad gate leads to destruction. It leads to damage. But the small narrow gate leads to life. Jesus is really talking about our lives when he's talking about these gates. It's easy to live life when we do everything that we want to do, but it's not easy to do things that are good to do that we don't like to do. Jesus wants us to follow and go through the narrow gate because it will lead us to him. Some of the ways that we can do this we've already looked at over the last 5 months. Remember the Beatitudes, and we had Mrs. B come and tell us all about how we can live and we can be things and do things. And then also thinking about random acts of kindness when my friend Stephanie came as well, and giving what we can and so much more. So keep doing all of these things because our reward for doing those things will be to be with Jesus. How amazing is that? So keep going and enjoy the activities I've sent out for today.
Strong, perfect me. Do you remember when we used to be able to travel further than just to the supermarket? When getting to the gate on time meant not just a Banners Gate or Boldmere Gate or Town Gate at Sutton Park. All those years, BC, before COVID, when we used to be able to go to exotic locations in the sun. Now, all that seems a little bit history. Well, I'm on a bit of a dream at the moment, reminding myself what it used to be like. You'd wake up in the morning having spent the night thinking about your travel. Weeks before, of course, you get your holiday outfit, your airport outfit all sorted. And then the time finally comes. You get all your baggage or your luggage into the car and you head out your drive onto a wider road. That wider road leads to an even wider A road, then a dual carriageway, and then a really wide 6-lane motorway. Even the slip road coming off of the airport seems really wide. And when you walk into that airport and those doors slide open, you're faced with such enormous wide walkways. And you seem to go on for ages, for miles even, down these wide walkways. Eventually, you work your way through, you snake your way into the duty free, a place of mystery, where they spray you with all sorts of things and it brings out your asthma. But hey, it's all good, because I managed to get myself a Toblerone. I mean, where else do you get a Toblerone but at an airport duty-free lounge? Eventually though, when they release you from duty-free, you get into this amazing place. The departure lounge. I mean, it's just vast. There's people everywhere. They're all happy. Well, most are anyway. And you look around and there's everything you need. I mean, absolutely everything. I mean, it's 6:30 in the morning and you can get yourself a cheeky pint at Wetherspoons. Why, it'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? You've got WH Smith's, Boots. You've got a gadget shop. You can even buy yourself a new sensible shirt like this. It's fabulous. It's what holiday's all about, isn't it? Just being in the departure lounge, watching, waiting, hearing what's going on. Strange thing is though, all these announcements going on. I mean, what's so great about gate, departure gate? They keep calling out all these names and numbers, final calls. Don't know what that's about. People of all ages seem to be going there. Some really young, some proper old. But they're all going through the departure gate. They seem to have a purpose about them, like they've made up their mind and they're going. Me, I'd rather stay here in the departure lounge. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's got a WH Smith's. Jesus talks a lot in his Sermon on the Mount. Do you know, in fact, we've been talking about the Sermon on the Mount for the last 5 months. They've even managed to develop a vaccine in time before we've ended our series. Way to go. But when Jesus talked about in his Sermon on the Mount, he said this: "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many follow it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." Wouldn't it be really strange if, having made your way to the airport, you simply settled in the departure lounge, as if that was the ultimate destination? Jesus was saying what we all know, that life is a journey. We start from there and we celebrate it with our birthday, and we make our way through to there at the end of our physical life. But Jesus was saying there is more to life than just this. There is even more to life than the departure lounge, as good as it is. There is more. And the route to that destination in the airport is to go through that narrow gate, the departure gate. And if you don't go through that narrow gate, you remain stuck in the departure lounge. It's okay but you never quite get to experience the full benefit, the full joy of what's on the other side of that departure gate. Jesus said, I am the gate. He wasn't just talking about God. He wasn't even just believing in God. You know, when he was around, things happened. Miraculous things happened. So much so that people began to say that wherever Jesus was, it was as if God had shown up. They began to realise that Jesus and God, well, they were the same thing. Jesus was God in human form, in the flesh. And he was the way to that full life, that abundant life. We've talked a lot in the Sermon on the Mount, following what Jesus has taught about a way to live. But he wasn't just talking about a new ethic, a new lifestyle. He was talking about a God's way, heaven's way, heaven on earth. And he was saying that through that departure gate, there is a reality beyond your wildest dreams, a spiritual dimension that knows no end, that goes even beyond the reality of W.H. Smiths and boots. A place of peace, wholeness, healing, joy, contentment, life eternal. And we've talked about the Sermon on the Mount, and it's great that you've been able to join with us. Jesus, when he spoke to his original hearers, crowded out on their departure lounge on the hillside, he was saying, it's not just about these words, it's about me. Follow me. And yes, we can all follow the teachings of Jesus. And that's great. It's a really healthy, good way to live. But actually, he calls us to go further, to trust him, to follow him, to enter into that spiritual realm. Step beyond the religion. Step beyond the dogma, even of the teaching, and embrace Jesus Christ. When you get to the airport, maybe you've brought with you too much baggage. I certainly have. I'm never going to get through that departure gate with this lot. They're going to find me out. There's a point where I've got to let go of some of that excess baggage, leave it behind, in order to get through that narrow gate. I wonder if you're feeling at the moment that you're carrying excess baggage, hurts from the past, disappointments, fears, an insecurity that drives you to work harder and harder, to hoard more and more just in case. Broken relationships. We've all got them, every one of us. But actually, through that departure gate, through that narrow gate with Jesus, we discover we don't need that kind of stuff. We can leave it behind. You know, that's what Moses was getting at with the 10 Commandments. They were never intended as rules to wag a finger at, to judge people with. They were promises. You can leave your baggage behind. You shall not kill. I will show you a better way. You shall not steal. There is provision. You can leave all that behind. Come, follow me. And Jesus says pretty much the same thing. You've heard that it was said, but I tell you, there is a better way, a right way, a God way. And what he was talking about through that departure gate wasn't just about what happens when you die, sometime in the future. He's talking about here, right now. And that's why Jesus called us to pray. Your kingdom come, your will be done here on earth as it is in heaven. Because whatever's through that departure gate on the other side, in the spiritual realm, well, in Jesus, we experience that now. So there's an invitation from Jesus, and I'm going to pass it on to you today, to trust Jesus. You've heard much about him. Maybe you've spent time in this departure lounge of life, and you've heard those calls going many a time. Maybe now's the time to actually act on it, to take that step, to leave the departure lounge and go through the departure gate, trusting Jesus, the boarding gate. Don't leave it to the final call. We've all been in the airport, haven't we, where we've heard that final call given more than once, and the plane has departed, it's pushed back, and only at that point have those others who have come running up to that gate, frustrated that they'd even missed that final call. Don't miss it. You don't need to. The joy is on the other side, even more so. There is life, and we can have that life now. Jesus said, I have come to give you life, and life in all its fullness. So don't be the ones who just stay living permanently in the departure lounge. Take that step. Go through the boarding gate with Jesus. Jesus says, I am the gate. I am the way to that ultimate destination of peace and stillness and wholeness. And the good news is that starts now, not just in the future. Why would you want to wait in the departure lounge when there's an opportunity to go with Jesus through? Let's pray. Lord Jesus, thank you that you show us a way to live. A way to live in all its fullness, in its vividness, in its colour. Wonderful Jesus. Lord, we ask that we would hear again your call. The call placed upon our lives to follow you. And right here, I'm going to pray a prayer and invite you to pray it too. And it may be that this is the first time you've prayed it, or the first time it's actually meant something to you. Way to go. It goes like this. Jesus, thank you that you came to bring me life. I trust you. I let go of my baggage. And I follow you. Lead me, Lord, into a new life. Eternal life. I ask this in your name, Jesus. Amen. Bless you. If you prayed that prayer for the first time, or it meant something more to you today, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line. Tell somebody else. And invite them too to the boarding gate with Jesus. I think it's time for you to go.
EasyJet departure to
Adios.
Zurich, flight number 2045, now boarding at gate 3.
Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it.
But by
Your giving enables us to do all that we do with our mission and ministry at Chester Road Baptist Church. If you'd like to give a one-off gift or set up a standing order, you can do so securely through our website. So visit chesterroadbaptist.org.uk/give and give now.
This is my desire to honor you, Lord, with all my heart I worship you. All I have within me, I give you praise. All that I adore is you. Lord, I give you my heart, I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm awake, Lord, have your way in me. This is my desire to honor you, Lord, with all my heart I worship you. And all I have within me, I give you praise. All that I adore is in you. Lord, I give you my heart, I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm awake, Lord, have your way in me. Lord, give you my heart, give you my soul. Lord, have your way. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm awake, Lord, have your way.
Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, how great Thou art. We thank You for this wonderful opportunity that we could come before You today to praise and worship Your holy name. As we humbly bow before You, we thank You for Your amazing grace and for Your compassion. We thank You for all the good things that You have done for us. They are so numerous we cannot count them. They are so significant and special we need them. You showed us Your undivided love by sending Jesus, Your only Son, to die for our sins, and by accepting Him have given us the promise of everlasting life after this life. What an assurance, and therefore we surrender our life to You. Heavenly Father, I lift up all those in authority, especially the leaders of this world and those of great influence. I pray that You give them the ability to make wise decisions, especially in our current global difficulty. I also pray for the teachers and all frontline critical workers who are at the heart of the pandemic and who are putting their lives at risk to help others. I also put before you all church leaders and ask that you give them continued strength and determination to lead your church, and that their lives will be an example to those who they lead. I also pray for those who are currently not accepted you as their Lord and Saviour, that they will one day come to realise that there is no one better than you. I pray for those who are hurting, the lonely, the sick, the homeless, the bereaved, those who are facing financial difficulty, and those who are experiencing mental ill health, those who are in poverty with no support systems, and those who are suffering persecution and injustice. I pray for family, friends and relatives. I ask that you send your comforter, your peace and your calming presence to those who feel they are without hope. I also lift up our church family before you and ask you to cover us with your blessing. In particular, I put before you George, Helen, Liz, Barbara, Dorothy, Joy, Kath, Don and Joyce, Jazz, Jessie, Joyce, Mike, Paul, Roger and Chris. We will now say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father in heaven, blessed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere we go. Sorry, just channeling my inner Bublé. Anyway, back to work. CRBC Community News. Boom. Hello and welcome to CRBC Community News, bringing you news from the heart of the community. Coming up today, we have got our youth small group at 4 o'clock until 5:30 on Zoom. If you've lost the Zoom link, do get in touch with me and we'll get that to you. We're going to have lots of fun. There's a great session planned for us today. Also, you'll know that we're coming out of lockdown this week, but we are moving into Tier 3. We're still awaiting some details for what that means for us, but we can tell you that Breathe will be running next Sunday at 4 p.m, just like it was before, but without the communion. Now we can get on to Christmas! It's the Christmas countdown. Anyway, next Saturday from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock, we have got our toy drop-off drive-through happening. That was a tongue twister. This is to give new toys to Birmingham City Mission, who will give them to families that are less fortunate. So if you've got a new toy, drop off, come through the entrance on Chester Road by the bus stop, and you'll leave through the entrance on Boldmere Road. It would be great to see loads of toys there and bless our community. Don't forget about our doorstep carols as well, happening later on in the month. Do get inviting your friends. We are going to have leaflets available. If you would like some to drop off to your neighbours, then let Danny know and he'll drop them off to you. Wow, I think that's about it. Just keep an eye out this week for more details on what it means for us as a church and for our building as we enter Tier 3 this week. There'll be more details coming your way, so watch out for that via your emails, or perhaps you get it sent by post as well. And yes, I know it's not December yet, but it is the first Sunday in Advent, so Christmas jumpers are allowed. Have a lovely week. Oh, my CRBC Community News.
thank you to everyone for joining us. If you enjoyed today's service, feel free to like and share. And if you've got any questions, jump onto the website where you can find everyone's contact details, which is Danny and Caris. And if you're watching live, why not jump onto the Zoom lounge where we can enjoy coffee and tea together. It's been another great service, and I really hope you have another great week. I'm feeling a bit Christmassy myself, so I hope you are too. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Lord, reign in me, reign in your presence.